Hey guys, Motorcar Nut here, and today we're working on a 2008 Toyota RAV4 that has an airbag light on. Now, there's a common issue with a lot of these model years and even different models in the models years. The Camry, the Matrix, the RAV4, a lot of Scions, and even some Lexus would have this code. The code is a B1801, and it says D-squib circuit open. So, a lot of times you would diagnose that code from the computer module all the way to the airbag module to see if everything's okay. But I'm going to cut through all of that chase because I see this almost twice a week. All right, and it's always the same thing. So to help you, cut down on diagnostics, it's probably going to be a clock spring that looks like this. You may have heard of a clock spring. What is it? Basically, it's just wires that connect from the stationary wires inside the car to the steering wheel that turns. So now if you can imagine, you have cruise control, you got the horn, and a lot of times when this clock spring goes bad, the horn doesn't work. It's because inside, I'm going to show you when I take the steering wheel off, there's electrical plugs. Now, those electrical plugs go and they attach to the steering wheel. So how are you going to have electrical wires as you're turning? They're going to break or they're going to get it all messed up. So that's where this clock spring comes into place. Basically, it's a ribbon in here. If you stereo guys or electronic computer guys know, that little ribbon that carries all the electrical, it's like I'll show it to you when I take it off. There's a ribbon in here, and basically it's just a wire of coils. So the stationary coils that plug in from the car, not into the steering wheel, they plug into these ports here, and even the airbag right there. All right, and now there's basically an electrical connection from in here, and now there's a spiral thing. So when you turn the steering wheel one way or the other, that spiral tape of electrical wire, so to speak, it turns with it. Okay, now over time, it could break, it could tear, or it can get corroded, and it's going to give you a light. A lot of times, the horn don't work. This car, the horn works. But most of the times, it's the airbag light because that ribbon has a lot of wires on it, and the ones at the end usually break first, and that's where the circuit for the airbag goes through. And basically it's a short circuit. Basically it's disconnected, it's not working. So now when the airbag light is on, nothing works. It's not just it's the driver's side and the passenger side is going to work. No, nothing works when the airbag light is on. And a lot of times you have an airbag light on, you won't have cruise control and all those bad things. So you fix one thing at a time. This car only has that code. So we're going to get to it and fix that code and replace this clock spring. This is a new one. I mean, you can get aftermarket if you want. I think this was $40, $50. You can get a factory one. It's going to be almost $200. It's up to you how much the car is worth to you. So I'm going to replace this. First thing you do is you're going to disconnect the negative terminal of the battery. Okay, you disconnect the negative. Make sure it doesn't, don't make it hang over here where it can touch. Just put it out of the way. All right, you don't want it to arc because you're dealing with the airbag. That airbag can go off, and that'll be bad. Okay, next thing we're going to do, there's two screws. They're 30, Torx 30. Right here. You see this? That type, that's a Torx 30, T30. In here, you're gonna see the bolt. You got one there, and on this side, right in that hole up here, is another one. Now they're not gonna fall out, so you just unscrew them, make sure they're all the way loose on both sides. They're not gonna fall out, and then you just take this like this. Okay, just be very careful with this and get a little screwdriver and pry up on this little tab, this little yellow tab, and it comes right off. And the same thing with this one. Like on the new one, you see these little tabs? You just gotta pry up on them to release the little lock. And there's a ground right here. All right, that goes right here to right here. And you take this and just put this somewhere safe, okay? All right, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off that center bolt. All right, before we do that, we're gonna take off the plugs. These plugs basically have little two tabs right here, one tab here and one in the back. You squeeze them, and then the center tab you push in, or you can just do it one shot. It all depends how yours is. It is like that. This is the clock spring back here, and you see the wires, right? The wires get hooked up here. We're gonna take these off. This one. Actually, you don't have to take that. Yeah, take this one off too. You squeeze it in there and pull it out. All right. Actually, you take it all off. Whatever's in the way, you know, I mean, because you're going to pull the steering wheel off. All right. That one. And we're going to loosen that bolt now. Okay, that center bolt is a 19. What you're going to do is you're going to loosen it, but don't take it all the way off. Okay? Because now it's pressed on has like a spline. And what you're going to do is grab from the top and grab from the bottom and wiggle it back and forth with two hands, and do it this way as well. Wiggle it back and forth this way and back and forth this way. With both hands, it should break loose. Okay, it breaks loose. Most of them break loose. Almost all of them break loose. It does have over here where you can put a steering wheel puller, but you may not have that. If you have that, you can use that, but it's not necessary because they always come off. Now, what you want to do is you want to have the steering wheel and the wheels. Make sure the wheels outside are completely straight and the steering wheel straight. All right? Because now what we're going to do is going to take this off, and you want to mark the steering wheel itself and put a mark on the shaft. All right? So we know when we take it off, we put it back on, it's going to be exactly where it has to be. It's important. See, like so? So now when we take the steering wheel off, let's say we put it back on, and it's like that, you know that's crooked. You have to take it off and put it on like that, so you know it's in line. All right, so now you just remove the steering wheel, watch out for the wires. All right, place that somewhere. And now we're just going to pry up on these and take this plastic trim off. This one on the 2008, I don't even believe they have screws. It's just little tabs here. You get a little screwdriver in here and just pop them off. Make sure you don't want to mar it, so you can use a plastic trim tool. Take them off, because here's this, and you don't want to turn this. Okay. Well, if you're not going to be putting this one back, so it doesn't really matter. The new one is locked in to this position, but you really don't want to turn it. I mean, if you're reusing it, you're doing something else, you're doing a different type of video, you want to make sure it's where you left it. And the reason for that, let's say if this moves down, right, and then you put it this way when it was supposed to go all the way this way. So when you install it and you make a turn, you could rip the wires inside the clock spring, because it only has a certain amount of windings both ways as you're turning lock to lock. So if this is like pretty much one way, and then you turn it, it can rip. Okay, that's why, and worst case scenario, if you do turn it, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to keep turning this until you feel resistance by hand, then count 2 turns, then count 2 turns or 2.5 turns the other way, and you have to center it up again. So to avoid all of that, when you take the steering wheel off, just mark it or just put a piece of tape if you're reusing it. So basically, that's how it is. I use a little tool like here. You just pop it up over there and in the back right here until it releases. You see, it's all plastic. Probably just leave that. Well, it's it's hooked onto the, you could just leave that there. It's hooked onto the cluster of the piece in the back. And this one just over here, just slides down like that and just comes right out. All right, and now we're gonna just disconnect the wiring to the clock spring. Yeah, here, there. Okay, now over here, this yellow one has a little slider. You have to slide this and then it comes out. There's a little right here. See that? You have to slide this and then it comes out. And to take the clock spring out, there's a little tab right here. You see that? You just push this one. There's one right here. I'll show you on the new one so you know what you're doing. Okay, you see these tabs? One there, and one here. So you just push them up and take the whole thing out. Okay, so now we're going to switch over the angle sensor, the steering angle sensor. It's right here, and you have clips, little prongs that you're going to pry here, and pry here, and pry here. You got to do it with like little screwdriver. You get it in there until you pop it out. Okay, just like this. Now, before you do that, before you pop it out, you just make sure on the other side over here that you see those arrows on the bottom? They have to line up exactly the same on the new one. Okay? You see the arrows? Oh, it's right here. There you go. They're lined up now. Top and bottom, right down there. Okay, and then you take this one off and you put it right on that one. And you can see it has a wide area and a thinner area to fit this wider one and that thinner one. And you just place it in there. It should go in nice. And you just snap it in. Right, like so. Make sure down here and on that side everything is nice and tight. It snaps in like that. And this is the old one. And now we're just going to install it. And just make sure you just push it straight on. Make sure all three clips clip in, one there, and one there. Make sure your arrows are still lined up. All right, and now you plug in your plug, the yellow one and the black one, and pretty much like of course now we know that everything is straight, the vehicle's straight, everything, the steering wheel is going to be straight. This thing is up here like that. You have the mark here, that marks down there is pretty straight. Now we're just going to feed these through the steering wheel and put the steering wheel on. All right, before we put the steering wheel on, you put this cover back on. You just put the top back on, the bottom, make sure this is aligned, and you just clip it back together. No screws, no nothing. Okay, now we're going to feed these wires to the steering wheel and put the steering wheel on. Make sure it lines up with the marks that you had made, okay? And torque that center nut to 37 foot-pounds. All right, before I put the nut on, you see? It's lined up nice, and this is pretty much, see? Pretty much locked in, top dead center. But everything's good. Now we're going to put that nut on, tighten it down 37 pounds, hook up the white wire, and then all we're going to have left is the airbag and the ground to hook up. Put this white plug in, orange to orange, black to black, and the ground goes right here. And then we're just going to tighten up the two Torx 30s. All right, everything is put back together. Now, what I said before, I just want to back up a little bit. When this is the old one, all right, you had your yellow plug and you had the black plug. I didn't mention the steering angle that you took off this old one and you put on the new one. It's going to have a gray plug, okay, that's pretty I didn't show it in the video. I only mentioned 2. I just want to make sure to clarify that, okay? All right, this one doesn't have the angle sensor. It's a gray plug. Then you got the yellow and then that black one. And then, of course, these for the airbag that goes through. All right, so now you may have to... Let me start it up. And there we go. Airbag light goes off. We're a little low on gas. You make sure you turn your steering wheel, make sure everything's good. Now, if your ABS and traction control light comes on, that means you didn't follow this 100%. When you take, let me shut it off. When you have the new one's going to be already locked. All right? It's going to be locked in between 2.5 turns. So basically, you can turn this 2.5 turns and then you'll feel the resistance. Then you turn it back 2.5 turns to the center. Now, you shouldn't have to do that if the steering wheel is already straight in the beginning of this video. That's why everything's got to be perfectly straight. So now, when you take this off, right, it's going to have the angle sensor on it too. So now the angle sensor is driven by tabs in here. All right. So now, as long as you take it off exactly the same, it's on this side. All right. You take it off exactly the same and put it on the brand new one exactly the same. The brand new one's going to have a pin in there, so it's going to be centered already. All right. It's going to clip in. All right. It has a wider and a thinner slot. And it just slides right in there. And why that's important, because if you move it around a little bit, all right, it's going to lose the calibration of the computer's not going to know the steering wheel is straight ahead, and it's going to throw a light. And you're going to need a scan tool to reset the 0 position of the steering angle. All right, so to avoid that, like we just did with this one, I didn't have that problem. All right, but you can. Or if you're getting a brand new steering angle sensor with the clock spring, it's going to have a scan tool to reset. Has to go in deep into the menus to reset the zero angle steering wheel setting. In other words, straight ahead setting. All right. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. All right, guys, Motor Car Nut, please subscribe, hit the like button. Any questions pertaining to this video, leave them below. I answer all my questions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.